Hello and welcome to episode 172 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, Wolverine looks bad ass, Kojima just keeps doing things, and Hades 2 is here, so we're going to talk all about it. But before we get to that, let's introduce our hosts today. My name is Kleinfeld, and alongside me today, as always, are two of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art daredevil himself, Tom Drew. Tom, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, with obviously gonna talk about Hades this episode. And I'm now feeling the kind of awesome gaming rush of like all these games coming out and I'm screwed basically. Like I still haven't finished Silksong, even though I've put a lot of time into it. We'll get to that later in the show. Now Hades has come out. Ghost of Yotei is next week. This is a crazy time to be a gamer, but it is a lot of fun still, at least.
Yeah, I'm feeling the pressure as well. I didn't really realize that everyone's like, oh, there's so many games. Even I on this podcast have said there's so many games. And then I'm looking, it's like, yeah, Ghost of Yotei's next week, but so is Mario Galaxy re-release. The week after that is Battlefield. Hades 2 is here right now. There is
Pokemon.
Pokemon
Pokemon
soon,
is in a
yeah.
couple of weeks as well. It is truly a time to be alive in the gaming industry. There is no lack of anything to play. Next up, it is journalist extraordinaire. You heard her voice there ever so briefly. The Australian abroad / the Canadian in training, Lauren Rouse. Lauren, how are you doing? You were filming yesterday, so you are. It's going to be a chill podcast for Lauren Rouse today. This is your way to relax.
Yeah, somewhat chill, I guess, but I'm feeling actually pretty good because one, we have an awesome new theme song. Everyone would have just heard it. And Klein, I saw you like a week ago, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we had a heck of a weekend last week. Recorded Controller Club a couple of days early so I could go down to Vancouver, saw a couple of concerts, went to one with Lauren Rouse. We saw Linkin Park. It was life-changing. Still have not recovered. Surprised, actually, that I'm here speaking to you right now because my voice, I thought, would be destroyed after that concert. I screamed unlike I ever have before, yet I woke up the next day and was like, I feel fine. This is great.
Clearly you weren't screaming hard enough.
I was I was pushing myself. I don't know if I've ever
Oh, I heard.
uh, yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time, but that's not why we're here to talk. We're here to talk about video games, and there's a lot of video game stuff to talk about, including some stuff in the news. Let's get into the news we choose. Tom Drew, give us that jingle.
It's the news we choose, yeah.
We start with the biggest news of the week. We got a state of play, guys. It happened finally, not a PlayStation presentation like some of us maybe had hoped, but a state of play happened earlier this week. We will do a quick rundown, talk about the good, talk about the bad, talk about the Wolverine of it all. But before all that, this week, as I said, saw PlayStation blow the dust off of the State of Play branding, debuting just over 35 minutes of new game announcements, updates, and headlines. The belle of the ball at this most recent iteration of the online PlayStation presentation was the official re-reveal of Insomniac's Wolverine, including a fresh look at the superpowered action-adventure game headlined by several mutant cameos, globetrotting comic book action, as well as plenty of bloody Wolverine kills. That game is dated for fall 2026, with more information coming sometime next spring. Other highlights from the live stream included a deep dive into Soros, the kind of spiritual successor to Returnal, as well as a March 2026 release date reveal, a first look at Battlefield 6 campaign, and a couple PlayStation hardware announcements, including the new Pulse Elevate wireless desktop speakers and a God of War Kratos-themed 20th anniversary white DualSense, which we did a YouTube short of. You can go find that over on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Wasn't quite the announcement we thought it was going to be. Notably, there wasn't anything on the long-rumored 2D God of War Metroidvania that we have been talking about for months and was said to at one point maybe be coming later this year. And, sorry, Lauren, no new look at Naughty Dog's Intergalactic. So I think we should have a chat about the state of play overall. We can get into the Wolverine conversation, but I think let's save that for the end of this because there was a lot of other good stuff here. To start, I want to know kind of what our general thoughts were coming out of the state of play. Of course, we did do a live reaction over on YouTube. You can go watch that, see all the ups and downs of that showcase. But Lauren, how are you feeling kind of coming out of this fall 2025 state of play that we've been hearing about for so long.
Had we been hearing about it for so long? That we only talked
Well,
about it a week before.
yeah, I mean, hearing about it for so long, I don't mean like in like the rumor sphere or like the news. People had been thinking for weeks that we will get a fall state of play. It's just a matter of when it's going to happen.
All right, well, I'm now starting to think about the January state of play, so then we can come and say that we thought about it for a long time. All right. I think the sentiment, which I kind of agree with based on like what people have been saying, is that this was a pretty meh state of play. Like, I mean, can't all be bangers all the time. I get it. It wasn't a PlayStation showcase, which sometimes does have more of those major announcements. But really they bookended it with the two big things, which were the two first party PlayStation Studios announcements, and then everything in between was just kind of like cool. I wrote one extra game down apart from those two first party releases, and it was Zero Parades, which is the new game from the Disco Elysium devs. That looks pretty cool. Haven't played Disco Elysium, but I liked the vibe of this one. It's like kind of like a spy thriller set in a bit of an alternate world, like with kind of cyberpunk fantasy vibes. So that kind of got me intrigued. We'll be keeping my eye on that one. But yeah, apart from that, I think they put their two big announcements on the end, and then they just had some like, what are we doing here kind of things. Like, speakers? Why?
Why not? I don't know. People listen to things. I think that the state of play brand continues to be the just like, okay, yeah, that was nice. Of the like big first party showcases these days. I don't know why we haven't had a PlayStation presentation in over 2 years. That seems to be where they bring out the big guns. But if they're not going to do them, I think this is just what we're going to get from state of plays from now on. It's going to be, hey, we're going to sprinkle out our big PlayStation presentation announcements, do one or two at each of these state of plays, fill the rest with the, I don't know, like Chrono Scripts, the Endless Ends of the World, which was a game that I thought looked really cool, but isn't blowing the tops off for the general audiences. I think that we are just like in for what I would say is like 6.5, 7 out of 10 state of plays forever. And kind of bums me out a little bit. I want to get back to the days of like even like the E3 press conferences where it's like, hey, guess what? God of War is happening, and The Last of Us 2, and Last Guardian, and all these like Final Fantasy 7 remake. I don't think that is where gaming is right now. I think that these games take forever to come out. I think these games take forever to make, so they have to like be stingy on when they unveil and when they dole out little bits of news. But I don't know, Tom, what were you thinking coming out of the state of play?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of a similar sentiment. I think it is a case of like what you kind of touched on, Clan, where it's like, um, AAA development at this point takes so long, so there's only so much that they can reveal at a time. Which is why we only had like Cyrus and Wolverine here. But then like you have the other side of it where Sony for the longest time was investing in all these multiplayer games, and a lot of them are probably not happening anymore. Or if they are happening, they're in a very different state than they were, like Marathon, which wasn't here, which is interesting. I mean that I'm sure we'll get more info on that game closer to when they decide to release it. But yeah, it does feel like because of all of those factors, this does leave these showcases like quite barren. And yeah, like there are some highlights, like that Zero Parades game. Like I agree that does look kind of cool. I haven't played Disco Elysium either. And yeah, the Chrono Script game, probably other than the big one at the end, was probably my highlight from the show. I think like I'm kind of obsessed with like Metroidvanias right now, and this has such a cool, unique aesthetic. And I wish we got more kind of like quirky, unique things like that, because throughout a lot of this, I was just kind of like, okay, like I don't, nothing was really kind of scratching the itch that I wanted it to. And the fact that like the God of War announcement was just the controller, like, come on, man, like, are we not gonna get like anything else? And I do agree. Like, I mean, I know that is the direct had like the Virtual Boy, for example, like that's like a hardware announcement, but like just a controller, like come on, dude, like we don't need to feature that here necessarily. Like who cares? But
And
I
it's
mean,
kind of
if
a
it weren't,
basic controller.
yeah,
Like
it
that
is,
kind of I
and they
mean,
could
it
have done a
kind
bit
of
more with
looks
it.
cool with its minimalist aspect, but it's also like I have the God of War Ragnarok controller, which I think is much, much cooler than what they've done with that one. But I get that it's a harken back to the very first God of War. So I don't know. Why do we have to make a big deal about these controllers? I guess is the thing.
I think it's more of a statement of just like the DualSense custom controllers we've gotten in general. I don't know if I think you mentioned the God of War Ragnarok controller. I think that maybe the Astrobot controller is like one of the only other notable custom DualSenses that we've gotten. All the others for me so far have kind of just been like, oh, like you put a couple of stickers on a either white or black DualSense, and none of them have done anything for me quite like even in past generations. I think they have.
Yeah, I suppose so. I just wish like I would have preferred like a tighter show than to like debate us with this random announcement. But although the views were nice, so I guess like from that reaction we got from the live
The
stream,
reaction was
so
fun.
so that's okay, I suppose. But yeah, if it weren't for Wolverine, like this would been a pretty major dud, I think, overall.
I think the hardest part is that we have for all intents and purposes like known a 2D Metroidvania God of War is happening. Like that's what
Yeah,
everyone is saying. It was supposed to be this year, has gotten pushed to next year. So when we get a God of War tease and it is a controller and then we don't follow it up with anything else, it is kind of like, oh, that
yeah.
that sucks. Like that's a bummer. But I don't know. It is what it is. Well, we'll hear about it. That to me now screams like a Game Awards announcement just because it's not the biggest thing in the world, a 2D Metroidvania God of War. Like it isn't the next God of War announcement. It isn't The Last of Us Part 3. It seems like the perfect level of announcement for Sony to give to the Game Awards and be like, here you go. Like, let's unveil a new PlayStation first party game in quotes at Game Awards, but it isn't like Intergalactic 2.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe they'll make Jeff Keighley's event like that much more exciting, which is good, I guess. But I wish, I just wish we had a little bit more from these state of plays. It does kind of suck that they are kind of in this kind of lull, like you say, Klein, where it's just like this is kind of what we expect now at the kind of caliber of announcements.
But Tom, you kind of picked up on why, which is because
Yeah, for sure.
like a lot of those studios either have had their projects cancelled or changed or they're being delayed for reasons or the development cycle of games is just so much longer now. We can't be announcing new God of War, new Last of Us, new like first party games every single time because they're just not going to come out in time. So we're in a great time right now. We've already talked about how many awesome games we're playing with just this month. So it's not like there's a shortage of things to play. I think it's just that when they give us these carrots in this state of place to be like, here's some cool things you're going to see. It's like, okay, well, how many cool things? And to be fair, there were like at least two very cool first party PlayStation games here, which are probably going to be the bulk of next year's releases. So fair
Mhm.
enough that that's what was highlighted here. But I think I would prefer like, okay, let's see like 10 minutes of those games then. Let's really get into what's going on here instead of
Mhm.
like then sort of stretching it out with like bits and pieces.
Let's talk about one of those PlayStation first party games. Wolverine was the highlight here. It was the headliner. We'd been waiting since 2021 to see more of this game. Of course, a couple of years ago, we have the big infamous Insomniac leak. So whether you read into those or not, maybe you have heard and seen all the secrets that this game has to hold. But some of us didn't really know what was going on. And so to see it come back, to see Wolverine fully unveiled in all of its M-rated glory, I think was very exciting. What did we think about this reveal? What are we most excited about? Maybe things we liked, didn't like. Tom, how are you feeling coming out of the Wolverine reveal? Is this like top of the list for you now heading into 2026?
I think it might be like I. This is one of the few trailers in a long time that I'm just like constantly going back and like rewatching just to see if there's any like more I can glean from it. I think it presented really well. I'm glad it wasn't just like another cinematic trailer. We did get like little glimpses of gameplay and combat, and it really feels like they've uh like treated Wolverine with like a lot of respect. I mean, I don't think that was something to necessarily be worried about coming from Insomniac, who've shown that they can adapt these superhero characters into games really well. But like the fact that we are getting like it does feel like such a love letter with all these other I'll say it like what I said on the live stream, but like all these other mutant characters like Omega Red and Mystique are here too. So it feels like they're really not just like this isn't just a Wolverine game. They're like expanding that world into other characters and other facets of like X-Men and mutant like lore, I suppose. So I'm just itching to see more of that. Like I want to see what if has I'm assuming this Wolverine's been part of the X-Men. Like, are we going to see any more of them? I want to see what like I just want to see more. I just want to see like more of like what this combat looks like. This little taste is like it's crushing to know that like we'll obviously get more information in spring. That's what they said, but like to have to wait until fall next year, I'm like, oh man, I want this game now, but it will be worth the wait from what it looks like.
Yeah, been 4 years since we last heard about this game. Was announced at the same PlayStation presentation, State of Play, that Spider-Man 2 was announced at, which is like seems absolutely crazy to think about. And we got an unveil of a new Wolverine actor, following in the footsteps of Hugh Jackman, another Aussie, Liam McIntyre, who you might know from Spartacus, as well as the Flash series, will be taking on the Wolverine moniker. Will be playing Logan in this game. Lauren, as an Aussie, how's it feel? Another one of you donning the yellow costume.
Isn't it ironic because isn't Wolverine Canadian?
He is Canadian.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a good idea.
Yeah, sorry Canadians. The Aussies are really taking over. Yeah, I thought that was a fun reveal that they've gotten like another Australian to step into those shoes. But it shows how iconic Hugh Jackman is in that role. I suppose that he's kind of made it a quintessential Australian role almost. It's kind of like for a while there weren't there like British guys playing Superman, or was that just Henry Cavill? I can't remember. There was something like that they were gonna, yeah, like an American.
Well, I guess as
character.
Batman has been like that because like you've had Rob Pattinson, you've had Christian Bale, you've had
Yeah, that's a fair point. Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, this was very exciting. As you can see, we also had a clip from that on our socials of us all reacting to the trailer. We're very excited about this, and it was nice to be like coming into this. It was what we all wanted. It was what we all predicted, and it was confirmed. So that was really nice to just like have that ticked off and to be able to see what they're working on. I definitely had to rewatch the trailer quite a few times to just like soak it all in. Because I think my biggest question coming into this, like when they announced that Insomniac was doing a Wolverine game, I was like, okay, that's cool. But I was like sort of questioning whether this was going to be the right character for them and like how this would sort of translate in the Insomniac style. But I think, like you said, Tom, they just have like this great respect for the characters and know exactly how to flesh out a video game world for the character, sort of versus the other way around. But one of my big questions was, how is the movement going to feel? How is the combat going to feel? Because so much of the great thing about Spider-Man is the swinging in New York. Like it is so, it feels so good to play. It was such a like phenomenal achievement when it first came out, and I sort of wondered how that would translate with Wolverine because I was like, he can't fly or get around in big open areas and things like that. But it does look like what they're compensating for now is in this kind of brutal, bloody combat style, which is very Wolverine. So that's really exciting that they're just like changing tack to be like, this is the right sort of gameplay method for this character. So that makes me really excited. And I'm also really excited that we're going to some like really cool locations. Like Tokyo is in there, Canada slash Vancouver area was there. So that's exciting. Looks like we'll be getting around on a bike. That's going to be really fun. So there's definitely a lot to be excited about with this.
Did we prefer the Wolverine ripping somebody in half, or the claws up through the jaw, poking out the top of the forehead? What was the cream of the crop kill from the Wolverine trailer?
I think like the biggest shock was that one where he puts his hand underneath the head and that you see his claws come through. Because I didn't think they would do something like that. Like that was pretty brutal to see, like just how violent this guy can get. But it was cool. It was cool to see him do that.
Yeah, particularly, I think you said, Klein, like, this is the studio that did Ratchet and Clank.
Yep.
Like, this is a very, very different tone for them. Like, and Spider-Man as well is like very family friendly. So it's kind of interesting to see them go like, no, we're going to lean really much harder and darker with this one.
Well, I think it's a credit to Insomniac as a studio. Like when they announced this game, there were a lot of questions over the last 4 years. We've had time to question, like, is this going to be an M-rated game? How far will they go? Is he going to don the yellow costume? And I think that as especially comic book fans, but as gamers, we assumed that the answer to all those questions were yes. Like, of course, there'll be an M-rated game. That just makes sense for Wolverine. Of course, he's going to have the classic costume. Of course, there's going to be other X-Men. Yet, when the trailer was happening and each of those things was being revealed, it was still a surprise. It was still like, oh my god, like this is actually happening. Like they are actually they're doing this, and they're pushing the limit into kind of new territory that they've never really ventured in as a studio, which I think is like really exciting. Insomniac is also, I'm fairly certain, like the Resistance studio from PS3 era, which was a like darker, more mature thing. But this is on another level. Like he's ripping dudes in half. There's a couple shots where he's just like stabbing people in the chest with his claws and blood is spewing everywhere. Like this is going to be a different kind of Marvel Games experience, not just a different kind of Insomniac experience than what fans are used to. And I really think it could be like it could pave a new way for Insomniac to do maybe more mature storytelling. It almost feels I was on the Agents of Fandom podcast earlier this week, and I compared it to, it almost feels like that jump from when Naughty Dog moved from doing Uncharted to doing The Last of Us. Whereas like Uncharted was like Insomniac Spider-Man. It's this like family friendly pulpy affair that like some of those games are considered masterpieces, but I don't think as widely like acclaimed as something like The Last of Us was. Wolverine could be that. This could be this like leveling up to like this level of more mature storytelling, venturing into this new sort of like M-rated territory. Yes, it involves a lot more blood and guts, but like I really feel like this could be a moment for Insomniac moving forward and putting them up to that like Naughty Dog tier.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like I didn't like a good comparison between Uncharted and The Last of Us. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I guess it just goes back to that thing of like, does Wolverine need this like mature rating for him to work? And like the answer is yes. So they like clearly were like, okay, we'll do that, which is your props for them for just wanting to like stay true to the character and making sure he was like adapted properly. And speaking of that, the one thing that really stood out to me that maybe goes overlooked in this trailer is the fact that he's short. He's like a short king, which has like been my kind of hope for Wolverine, like getting adapted into like another piece of media. Obviously in like the movies, like Hugh Jackman's, he's a tall bloke. But in the comics, like Wolverine's a scrappy, like freak of a guy. And the fact that they've kind of done this here, I just think it's gonna, I don't know, I think it's gonna really add to this like version of the character. I want to see like if that informs anything with what they do with it. I think it's just a cool, like a good direction that they've gone with it.
He comes up to a ledge and can't quite reach it. Like he's just like jumping and can't get it.
I think the other thing for me, like that I was questioning when they first announced Wolverine, which really was reaffirmed for me in this trailer, I kind of opened my eyes, is like, you know, Spider-Man, they've built such a universe for him. Like they have been able to bring in characters like Miles and all these amazing villains. And because Spider-Man has such a huge repertoire, which is why he's in so many movies and comics and things like that. And so I think actually pivoting to Wolverine was a really smart choice, because now you have the entire X-Men at your disposal, who we've seen, and like that opens up so many possibilities in the games. So I think that's like a really clever way for them to kind of expand different superhero universes. Like you're not just picking one who might be defined to a single track. It's like, no, this opens up like all these possibilities with story and characters and different locations and things like that. So that really excites me. I'm excited to see who else we see in the game who hasn't been revealed yet, who else we might get as like an offshoot of this. It's very exciting.
Speaking of that, who is the one character or team that you want to see like interact with Wolverine? I'll go first. Mine, I already said Cyclops on the live stream, so I'll say the Morlocks, who are these kind of like mutants who live underground, and they're kind of like almost ostracized from other mutants because they're like just a little bit too freaky for like regular mutants. So I'd like to see like Wolverine, I don't know, interact with them and maybe help them out and try to integrate them more into like mainline society.
Well, I did say Deadpool on the stream, and that's still probably my number one to see him interact with. But I'll add in there that I would like to see X-23. I think it would be cool for
Ooh.
Wolverine to interact with like a protege kind of character, and that could lead to like that could be his Miles Morales, like that could be the
Mm.
sort of side shoot game that we get.
It's easy, but like I want to see a Charles Xavier. Like I want the way start to be paved towards an X-Men game. And if we
Yeah.
get Charles, if we get Magneto, that would be like, oh, dream come true. I don't think it's something that happens halfway through the game. I don't think it's something that happens the first third of the game. It's probably like a credits hit. We see the
Yeah.
credits and it pans up and we just see a man in a wheelchair with a bald head or something like that. But Insomniac's been really good at kind of teasing away these where we're going to go in the sequel ideas towards the end of their games, whether it's like Harry in the tank at the end of Spider-Man 1 or the Silk reveal at the end of Spider-Man 2. I think that if X-Men is where they want to go, let's throw in Charles at the end of this game. Let's move on to our other big story of the week. Tom, TGS is happening, and as a part of that, Kojima got up on stage, announced a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things, I don't know if we'll talk about a credit card. You can get a Kojima credit card.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
see that.
yeah. So you
Okay.
can get to earn points towards Kojima-related merchandise and rewards, whatever that means.
That's so specific. I mean, I guess if you need to improve your credit score, that's one way of doing it. But
He
no,
also announced a sake, I think, as well.
what? That's so crazy. I guess he's a man of many talents. He's got multiple games on the way and multiple different merchandising avenues, which is cool, I guess. But yeah, like I was surprised when he announced a couple things, and this comes from Paul Tassi at Forbes, asking whether Robert Pattinson might be in the upcoming game from Kojima, Physint. So it's a big morning for Hideo Kojima news with previews of two of his new games, OD and Physint, including a teaser trailer for the former. What's attracted the most attention are revelations about Physint, the game Kojima is making for release on PlayStation, one that we know relatively little about. He officially announced 3 cast members today, Minami Hamabe, Don Lee, and Furiosa's Charlie Fraser, where Kojima raved about that movie after he saw it more than any other we've ever seen. Fans, however, are turning an eye towards the first poster, which shows a man with a gun, a cool coat, and what appears to be a bionic arm, and a face cloaked in shadow. Fans believe that face may belong to none other than Robert Pattinson, based on the facial structure of the character seeming to resemble him. Other evidence includes the fact that Kojima and Pattinson have met at Cannes earlier this year, and that Kojima mentioned on the Koji 10 podcast that both him and Pattinson quote, discuss some things but can't tell right at the moment, end quote. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting that we are now kind of hearing about this Physint game. I mean, he said previously that the game's probably not going to come out for like 5 years, which makes sense. So it's probably like a PS6 game at the earliest. But I don't know. Do we buy that Robert Pattinson could be working with Kojima? Do we want him to be in this kind of role? Klein, I'll throw it to you. What do you think of Physint and potentially Pattinson being the lead character?
This is a reality I would like to live in, so I'm going to say yes to both questions. That
Okay.
Robert Pattinson is working with Kojima, and do I want him to? Of course I do. I love Robert Pattinson. I am just weirdly obsessed with Hideo Kojima in all of his credit card ventures and sake businesses. So I would be really interested in seeing somebody like Robert Pattinson work with him. There seems to be no limit to who he like interacts with, and like he's friends with Timothy Chalamet, and of course we had like Norman Reedus in Death Stranding and stuff like that. If they're going to, they being Kojima Productions, if they're going to really usher in this new era of the studio with Physint, I don't really know how to say it, and bring back kind of like they've talked about it being like their next vision for what like a Metal Gear kind of game would be, the next kind of iteration of that tactical espionage action. Why not bring in an absolute A-lister to lead that franchise going forward? They did it towards the end of Metal Gear, where they switched out David Hayter's voice for Kiefer Sutherland as Solid Snake. I think that, yeah, bringing somebody in who has the pedigree of Robert Pattinson, who Robert Pattinson to me vibes wise, like is probably kind of a kindred spirit to Hideo Kojima. So like they probably are homies. They probably are friends. I think that it makes total sense the image is kind of like eerie how much it looks like him, but
Yeah.
also the main character of Claire Obscure looks like Robert Pattinson, and it's not him. But I've he's gonna be in a video game at some point. Put him in a Kojima game.
I'd like to see it. I think like the kind of there's two sides of it because like I think Rob Pattinson could do a really good job in that kind of espionage genre, but then he'll do something like Mickey 17 where he's just like this quirky weird performance, and that also feels like something Kojima like would be looking for potentially
Yeah.
in a game like this maybe. Just a
Mixed
freak
kind
of
of
a
like the
man.
Tenant Pattison with the Mickey 17 Pattison.
Yeah, like this weird amalgamation. So yeah, I could see it. I think this has a good possibility. Um, but Lauren, do you buy this? Is this something? If this were to happen, would this make you interested in a game like Physint if Pattinson was involved?
I totally buy into this. Like the evidence all seems to be there, like that they've met previously, and that this character looks so much like him. It sort of seems like a pretty decent bet, and I'm fine with it. Like I think it, like Rob Pattinson would be a cool like actor to see in a video game, um, and I think like yes, it would intrigue me into playing the game, but more so just because of the genre. Like this compared to watching the OD trailer, like I was like, well, that's something I'm never playing.
Yeah,
But like Physint seems like something that might scratch my itch a little bit more, particularly if it's in like more of the Metal Gear realm. Not that I've played that, but that might be like my gateway into being like, is this for me? Um, but yeah, I think it opens up an interesting question, which I haven't really fully formed thoughts on, which is this thing of like, do we need movie stars to lead games? Um, because it's kind of, I kind of have a lot of respect for actors like who work in video games and do that so well. And it kind of feels like it's being a little bit invaded by, not that it's like a sacred space or anything, like acting is acting, but it kind of does feel like it's like the movie stars are kind of being drawn in to be the face of these things to try and get more people to like buy the games and stuff like that. And I just wonder if that um it kind of takes away the roles from the like from the people who are sort of so embedded in the video game craft. I'm not really sure. I haven't really figured out an opinion on it, but I just sort of thought it was interesting that we're now like leading so many of these games with big like film and television stars, whereas there are
yeah.
this like subsect of people who are just who are like big in the video game world but haven't really crossed over. You know what I mean?
I think it depends on like how authentic the Hollywood actors' love of the medium is. I think like 10 years ago, maybe even more than that, 10 years ago, this would have been more of like a question because you had names like Sam Worthington leading Call of Duty, Kevin Spacey showing up in a Call of Duty game, Kit Harington, Call of Duty again,
Okay, but that's Call of
Willem.
Duty.
No, but I'm also throwing out I'm Willem Dafoe, Elliot Page in what was that game called? Beyond Two Souls. There was like a lot, like there was a lot of like that in that 2010 to 2015 of these big name actors coming to video games, and for the most part the results really varying, and it was like, what are is there heart in it, what are they doing here? Whereas now I think there's like it is a little more selective of these big name actors coming in and doing the video game thing, and most of the time, if not all the time, they are like genuinely in love with the property or in love with the medium. But I do understand where you're coming from. Like it is like it's a very delicate dance because there are some people who like their entire livelihood is 100% video games and that's it. Whereas these people are just kind of coming and doing as like a fun side project.
But I guess I also question, like, at what point, say this is Robert Pattinson, are we just looking at the game as like, oh, I'm playing as Robert Pattinson, or are we thinking of his character? You know, I think sometimes that's like a risky space where it's like you're just thinking about playing as the actor. Like in Cyberpunk, okay, it's Johnny Silverhand, but it's really we're all talking about, oh, we get to interact with Keanu Reeves. He's in our head because he plays basically like he's so like himself. Whereas like if he was, you know, like Grimes's character in that game or something like that, you know, there's like that disconnect. So I think it's kind of a weird blurring of the lines where it's like we are getting to a point where video games are so realistic. Like that OD trailer looks like it was just filmed in camera. Um, so I don't know. It's like a weird space where it's kind of like we're selling games maybe off the basis of like these people's faces, just like they do with movies, and like making them playable characters. But are we really invested in the characters they're playing?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thought, because as well, I mean, the same game, Cyberpunk, like Idris Elba plays Solomon Reed in the Phantom Liberty expansion, and like obviously he has the same face, but I think like with him, I was like really bought into that performance, really bought into the character of Reed, and I think that it kind of it's more about like the like is this actor actually right for the role, or are we just getting them for, because like
Hmm.
another example, like we just talked about Liam McIntyre playing Wolverine. I mean, granted, they've kind of, the likeness is less apparent. Like this Wolverine face is more so, I guess it's like it's taking from Jackman as well, obviously, but it's also this kind of its own thing. So there's less of that. It's more about the performance there, I suppose. Um, but it is very tricky, because I wouldn't want it to like. There are so many actors like in the gaming space that I'm like, I've done phenomenal performances that like rival, your kind of mainstream Hollywood uh performances, like Troy Baker, Ashley Johnson from The Last of Us. Like, to just name one example, I would put those easily toe to toe with any like Hollywood performance. So, um, it, I wouldn't want it to feel like we're just bringing these guys just so we can like market these things. So, I hope if Pattinson's involved, like he is right for the role. I'm sure he would be in this case, but there are like definitely cases where it's like we're just bringing an actor just so like we can sell X
Yeah,
more
yeah.
copies.
Liam
Yeah.
Neeson is in Oblivion. Like back in the day, was a big thing. Was it
Hmm.
Liam Neeson? Yeah, or he was in Skyrim. It was one of the dragons. It's like, oh,
So weird.
cool. Like, I
Yeah.
guess.
But
Yeah.
you think of like GTA 6, we have no idea who the actors are in that. That's not,
Yeah.
impacting its sales at all. If they suddenly announced that, like, just because we're talking about him, like Robert Pattinson was playing the lead, I don't know how we would all feel about that. I'm not really sure. I kind of sometimes like it when it's just a bit of less of a incognito person behind the role. Like I
Yeah,
feel like they're more my character than they are theirs.
that's exactly what I
Mm.
was gonna say. It lets you feel like this character is an avatar of you rather than
Yeah,
you playing through someone else's story. And I guess it depends on what kind of experience you want from any particular game. Because like something like The Last of Us, I don't know if I would have too much of an issue playing as some big name running through that story, because it's I'm interacting with it in a different way than I would in like GTA, where GTA is like I am my own avatar and making my own fun. In The Last of Us, it's a very handcrafted narrative story. So what's the difference of me playing this to watching a movie with Robert Pattinson in it? Like I can, if the storytelling is good enough, I will buy into the character, and the person kind of disappears. Good
fair enough.
conversation, Tom. Open up
Yeah.
open up a good can of worms. I
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
Lauren opened it up, so that was a great point.
Love it. Okay, that's going to do it for the news this week. Tom, Drew, give us that outro.
Is the news we choose? Yeah.
One story we didn't talk about this week, maybe the biggest story of the week, is, guys, a pretty big game just dropped. Hades 2 is finally here, and we're going to give our first impressions, having played as much as we could over the last 3 or 4 days before recording. Before all that, do a little intro. If you don't know, Hades 2 is here after 18 months of early access. We finally saw the debut of it. Hades 2 1.0 is, which is a bit of a mouthful, is now available on PC and Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 consoles. For fans that are playing Supergiant's latest action roguelike on PC since its reveal, this meant they finally have the chance to dive into the full game. And for Switch owners like us, the game is available on the platform for the very first time and is a console exclusive. You can't play this on Xbox or PlayStation quite yet. This time around, Hades 2 follows the sister of the first game's protagonist, Melinoe, Princess of the Underworld, telling the story of her descending into the underworld to take on the villainous titan Kronos. On her adventure, she encounters new gods to help her on her journey, various special abilities, including the ability to mine, shovel, fish, do all that sort of thing, and a whole swath of terrifying new threats set firmly in the world of Greek myths. In early goings, Hades 2 hasn't skipped a beat critically from the first game. The game is currently the best reviewed title on Metacritic of 2025, sitting at a stellar 94% out of 100. And this comes, of course, mere weeks after another presumed modern-day indie classic was released in the form of Hollow Knight Silksong. So we thought, with this being one of the biggest games of 2025 and one of the most anticipated, I don't think I'm overstepping in saying this, one of the most anticipated games in Controller Club history, we figured we'd talk about it, do some early impressions. The first thing I will ask the two of you, now that we are, I guess, 3 days post launch, one, I assume we're all playing on Switch, but how long have you played so far? How far have you gotten? And just maybe some general thoughts and feelings before we dive into kind of deeper conversation points. Tom, playing on Switch too, I think. How long have
Yeah,
you played, and
I
about how far have you gotten?
I am indeed playing on Switch too. Yeah, I think I'm. It's hard to tell without the in-game like timer, but I think I'm about like 4 or 5 hours in. I've beaten the second boss. That you go through it towards your the route down to the underworld. So far, and I'm just about to unlock like the other kind of route that you can take. So I'm still pretty early in the game. I feel like I've kind of unlocked some cards. I've unlocked some other things so far, but I feel like I've still got a lot to go with this game. But it's so good, isn't it? It's just really really good. Obviously we played a bit of this at PAX West, so we kind of like dipped our toes in. Klein, I mean, you played like some early access, so you've had even more kind of experience with this game so far. But like, just getting that little taste of it to now, I'm shocked just how much scope this game feels like it has in comparison to the first one. I feel like there's just so much more to kind of sink your teeth into, both in terms of the gameplay, the things you can unlock. I love how Melanoe like feels, like just the way she differs to Zagreus. I think I might prefer how Melanoe plays with some of her weapons and stuff. I'm just having a blast. It's really tough that I probably after this will have to put this to the side just so I can finish Silksong. Otherwise, this will probably ruin everything, and I'll not be able to operate properly. But man, this game of the year discussion is going to be tough because this game it's so well polished, it's so much fun, and I can't wait to play more of it.
Lauren, what are you playing on? How long have you played? And about how far in the game you've gone? Also, before you start, I will mention, if you are listening, I don't think we're going to get into like super deep dive spoilers here. None of us are, I think, deep enough to really get into that. However, if you want to go into the game like completely blind, you may want to like save this
Hmm.
podcast for later, just because there are a few things that like happen very early on that we probably will talk about.
Well, yeah, to that point, I am avoiding spoilers for this game like the plague. So yeah, I definitely, for the listeners out there, I don't want to like ruin it for them, and I don't want you guys to ruin it for me. So because I'm probably the least far into this game out of all of us. I think I'm slightly just before Tom. Actually, I've seen the second boss, have not yet beaten the second boss, but I'm really just trying to take my time with it because I've waited so freaking long for this that I don't want to like rush it. But yeah, playing on Switch, Switch OLED, haven't had a single hiccup yet, so technically it's running fine, which we love. And like, is this the best game ever? It's the perfect sequel. It's perfect. Like, I didn't think that they could really improve on Hades, but they did somehow. And we did get to sort of have this tiny little like 10-20 minute taste at PAX. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. At that time, I was like, it's more of the same. This is great. But then when you get into it, there's actually so much more going on that makes it just so much more compelling and engaging that I'm sort of sitting here being like, I think I might like this more than Hades, but at the same time, I don't feel like I couldn't go back to that game now and it would be a significant drop. So like if you play, Spider-Man 2 and then you go back to Spider-Man 1, it kind of feels like it's lacking because, oh, I can't fly anymore and things like that. I don't really feel that way with this because like Mel plays so differently to Zagreus and the areas are kind of the same but just slightly shifted. And they both have different weapons and there's different boons. So it kind of feels like it's not so much of it is a sequel, but it's also just like kind of coming in as a different experience, if that's kind of making sense.
Totally. You know what it reminds me a lot of is, and another masterpiece that was followed up by a masterpiece, it reminds me a lot of the jump from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like we took a perfect game and improved upon it in every possible way that we could think of. And this really, Hades 2 for me is like, it is a game of more. It is while there were one or two things to do in the little like hub area at Hades between runs, now there are 9 or 10 things to do. And instead of there being just one way to like one route to finish the game, now it's like basically double the game. There is like 2 runs that you can go on eventually. And I think that this is, I think, much better than Hades 1, and Hades 1 is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the best indie games of the last decade. I think it might be my favorite Switch 1 game outside of the Zelda duology. So I've been playing it on Switch 2. I did have some early access time on PC, and I played, I think, about 15 hours in early access, so not like super deep. And I played it right when early access dropped. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the full release where I'm like, whoa, like this wasn't in the game at all when I played it for the first time. I don't think that second route was in the game when I started it up. A lot of these gods weren't in the second game when I started it up in early access. And so on Switch 2, I think I have about 10 hours over the last 3 days. This has been I'm going to sit on the couch, and whether it's for 10 minutes or 3 hours, I feel like I'm accomplishing something, and I feel like I can turn it on and do something and have it or have it like actually meaningfully progress me further, which is such a testament to the game itself. So I'm kind of flummoxed by Hades 2. I think that it is, as you said, Lauren, the perfect sequel. It's everything you could have wanted. It's more of Hades 1, but improved upon with however many more years of dev time to refine and hone what they were trying to accomplish with the first game. And I can see this being my Switch to like never ending gobstopper. Whenever I have I've got 15 minutes, like, oh, let's do a run in Hades 2. Right now, being so early on, it feels like the unlocks and progression will just never end, and I will just be able to keep going forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think like because Mel's moveset like is different in a lot of ways. Like there are so many things you can either focus on and min max, and like just the builds you can get that in this game. You can just have so much fun with it. Like there was one in particular that I was just like really attached to. And that was the one I used to beat the like second boss. But it's basically like when you dash, or you can dash in this game and you can sprint if you hold the B button. And it would like I got an ability from Hestia, I think, where you like have exploding like volcano things on the floor, and I would just literally run around enemies, and it would just take them all out. And like I was just obsessed with them. That's how I got through it. So I feel like there's just so many ways this game kind of zigs and zags. The breadth is just like kind of like insane.
It's crazy, like, how such a small action can make such a huge difference. Like, basically, the big change in this game is holding down buttons and, like, adding an extra meter
Yeah.
for magic. And it's like that has completely changed everything, but not in like such a recognizable way that it's like a different game. But it makes, yeah, Mel as a character so different to play. I have to be honest, I find the magic or the magic that you can use I don't use it as much as I probably should, as much as the game emphasizes that I should, just because, like, you really have to be in the right place to activate, like, to be able to hold down the button and activate those attacks on enemies. And it's risk versus reward, and I'm not much of a risk taker in this game because it's hard. Once you die, you go back to the beginning. Like, that's the name of the game. But I'm interested what you guys think about, like, the new sort of magic element.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same with you. Like, I think initially, I was just in Hades 1 mode where I would kind of forget, like, oh yeah, I can like hold down these buttons to take advantage of that. But as the game's gone on and you like unlock like different abilities that can either like replenish your magic as you go through runs, you're kind of incentivized to be like, okay, I don't want to waste the fact that like my magic is like constantly like recharging. I should be doing this more. And because of that, like you take down enemies faster and all this sort of stuff. So it opens like so many possibilities. So yeah, I love this kind of risk reward thing because you do have to like hold it for at least a second or two to charge that up, which leaves you vulnerable. But like the outcome of that can be like super like lucrative. So I think it is such a smart small change that they've made to this game that has it's gonna have so much like longevity as I go through it. I like it's definitely taking some getting used to having being so familiar with the first game, but I really like the change. I think it was really smart to do that.
I haven't actually in both when I was playing early access or on Switch 2, haven't actually like explored using the magic meter too much to do those like omega spells or any of the charge things, but I have been using it whenever I get the chance to like, oh, I'll get a boon that says like your attack now does like double damage, but it depletes your magic. I've been leaning into a lot of those builds where I'm like transforming my regular attacks into attacks that use this mana meter and then trying to like replenish that resource strategically as I'm going. And I've found like that has really changed the way that I played. Whereas in the first game, I didn't ever really think about like my build at all. Whereas in this, there I've gotten a couple builds, a couple like series of boons that have truly felt like I'm breaking the game, that they're like letting me break the game. And I never really got that feeling in the first Hades. In the first Hades, it did feel like a fight for survival. Whereas in this, I have a feeling if I get the right combination of boons, I could make a build that just wipes out a room at any given time. I had one yesterday where I'd gotten I really like the freeze. If I can get like freeze
Yeah.
attacks and freeze people in,
Yeah.
I had that, but then I also had something that was allowing it so my whenever an enemy died, they exploded. And so I would gather up everyone, cast, which that's another new change, bring in that cast feature where you can like put down that trap on the ground, gather them up, freeze them all, explode one of them, and then they'd all just like pop because what and that's as I talked about in like my Flickshot Rogues on the review on the episode last week, like that is the thing that tickles my brain the most in games is when I can walk into a room, hit one button, and everyone just explodes. And they're letting me do that, and I'm so upset that I haven't been able to get that build again because I got the furthest in there. I've gotten to the third boss, and like he had like the last third of his health left. I was so
Oh.
upset, but I walked into the room with like 11 health, so we were playing with fire anyways. But it just I never got that feeling in the first Hades that they would let me, that I really felt like I was breaking the game. Whereas in this, they're giving me these tools to quote unquote break the game. It still works. It runs it. I haven't even had any when I am exploding 30 corpses on screen at once. There was no slowdown. It was still running at 60 frames per second. I have, and it was funny at PAX, we talked about this, Lauren and I said, like, I've never played Hades on the TV. I'd only ever played it handheld. And this game, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it on TV. Played for about 15 minutes. I was like, no, can't do this. Picked up the Switch and I've only been playing handheld since then
Oh wow.
because it works so much better for me on this like tiny screen real estate.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth, but I can definitely see that, especially because it like the on when you're having handheld, like it is that's 120 FPS, right? Like when it's running.
You have to turn that on. You have to go into like the
Okay,
Switch
yeah,
system settings and turn it on. So I haven't actually been playing at 120. It's just solid 60.
right, yeah. But even like 60, it just runs. Oh, it runs so smoothly. Um, but yeah, just picking up on your point about the cast, like adding that to the holding down the buttons for your regular attacks. The cast is such a game changer, and I much prefer it to the one that Zag has in the first game. Like the fact that you can trap enemies, you can do so many creative things by upgrading the cast so like it does damage while enemies are in there. Like I said, with my explosive footsteps, like I would trap people in there and I would just run around in the cast so they're all like herded in and they would explode them all. Like it adds so many possibilities for like such a simple idea of just like you're just allowed to contain enemies in one area. I think it's such a cool idea.
Have you seen the Hermes boon where you can run through enemies and it doesn't you can't get hit? Like that
I've
would for
seen
that
it but
build
not used it.
that you had would be perfect. Where you're just like running around as this invincible
Honestly,
princess of the underworld and just
yeah,
booming
honestly,
people.
I'm gonna keep an eye out for it.
I'm in complete agreement. I think the cast is the biggest change that I'm most grateful for here because the cast was, as Zagreus, was kind of a bit of a pain to use. It was like a projectile, and then it would like hit enemies, but you'd have to go recollect
Yeah,
the cast like gems to be able to use it again. There's none of that here, and I'm so glad that they got rid of it and that it's actually like a wide radius attack instead of a projectile attack. It's because I used to just never use the cast in Hades 1 and now I use it just constantly. It is such a great upgrade. So there's just so many things like that that they've done in this game that have just like made it such a finessed experience.
And it makes you change the way you play from run to run. In Hades 1, I never really felt like that. I kind of found the weapon that I like and would, yeah, collect boons as I went along, and that would create a different sort of build. But in Hades 2, depending on, oh, this, I got this really awesome boon that now changes the property of my cast, which I normally wouldn't be somebody to do that. I'm much more, I want to run up and just smack them with the spear or hit them with any of the other weapons they have. And getting that boon makes me go, oh, I need to actively do this. Let's pick that one. And now for this entire run, I am completely changing the way I play as a player, which I never did in the first game.
Which weapons is your guys' go-to in this one so far? Or are you kind of alternating between them?
Well, I haven't unlocked them all first, so let's.
Yeah, neither have
Okay.
I think I have 3 weapons.
Yeah, I've got 3 so far as well. Well,
Oh,
mine,
okay,
this isn't a spoiler because it's on the cover. My favorite are the ones that she has, the sister blades, I think they're called. They're just
The like
so
sickle
fun.
kind of deal, that really up
Yeah.
close, really fast. Yeah.
I love just fast-paced builds. Like I like being able to do like little chip damage and then kind of like zip around as Melanoe, and like those weapons they just feel so good, especially because they do have like a ranged option with your special attack. You kind of get the best of both worlds with those, so I think those are kind of the ones I've been vibing with the most. I would like to experiment with more as I go on, but for now I think I'm definitely gonna mainline those.
Yeah, I will always play the new weapon as soon as I unlock it. So I'm currently using the axe, which I
Mhm.
really am like. Usually, I avoid heavy attack, slower sort of weapons. But to be honest, it got me through the first boss, and I was like, maybe I should keep this. So that really surprised me. Like you say, Klein, it kind of encourages you to play creatively and not be tied to any one thing because they all have their own advantages. But usually, I've unlocked the I guess like that's the incantation that adds like that makes in the first game like you could there was like I can't remember what it was, like a blood symbol on the weapon that was going to give you more. In that game I think it was shadow or something that you were collecting, and in this one, yeah, there are like you can unlock an incantation that like highlights certain weapons to use on runs and you'll get like bonus effects for using those weapons. So I just pick whichever one it tells me to.
I think the
Uh,
or my favorite weapon is right now, it's just like the basic spear. I've tried the other 2 that
mhm.
I've unlocked. The fast one, I've only done 1 run with. I liked the projectile kind of torches that you unlock as the
Oh
3rd
yeah.
weapon, but I got really far with it, but I haven't gone back to that. I like the spear. I like the it's same with Hades 1. I had that first weapon, and that was the one that I played into the most. But I want to touch on, Lauren, you brought up like the incantations and some of the unlockables. I think that's something this game does super well compared to the first one is after every run, I feel like I am making progress even if the run went terribly. There's always something for me to unlock. There's always someone for me to talk to when I come back. Whereas in Hades 1, at the beginning of that game, definitely that is happening, but it felt like it tapered off way faster in this. Just looking at all the possibilities and even like the parts of the crossroads that I'm walking up to, I'm like, there's no one here. There probably will be someone here eventually. I have a feeling that this is going to last for like 30, 40 hours where every single run I'm coming back, and whether it's unlocking a new weapon, going into the tarot cards. I found out yesterday that in the tarot cards, there's a whole other system where now you can like up the amount of tarot cards you can actually take with you, which is like
Mhm.
Yeah.
super helpful. I was looking at the vast number of cards when I first started playing and was thinking, oh my gosh, I only have 12 slots, but you can expand that because there's just so many currencies and so many resources. There's the incantation pot where you can go in and change either like the crossroads themselves, change rooms that can pop up on your runs. There's the prophecies where you're getting rewards for going off and doing things. And then there's the other gods and characters in the crossroads that you can go and talk to. I think that this game does such a great job of one of the hardest things of any roguelike is making those failed runs feel like you are either learning something, progressing, getting better, getting more powerful. And this is just it is endorphin hit after endorphin hit when I come back. Even if it's like, oh, I died to that first boss or I died in the first couple of rooms, I'm going to come back and I'm going to have maybe a little more silver, or I picked a flower that I can do something with, or, Nemesis is going to have a new interaction for me to talk to her. It's, there is just constantly a barrage of things to do from run to run. outside of the actual runs themselves, which is just it makes you feel like you're making progress even when you might not be.
Yeah, I think my favorite new addition out of all of those things you kind of touched on is the ability to like have tools that you can take into the on your run. So you unlock them progressively, but having like the pickaxe that lets you mine silver, which then lets you unlock certain things back in the crossroads at the broker, or have being able to like fish and things like that. I'm like, this is so cool because it's like usually you go into these rooms, you defeat people, you pick up your stuff, you leave. But this makes me encouraged to like look around the room. And I don't know if you've unlocked that spell that like tells you when there's something to look for in the area. That's really
Yeah.
great. So I think, I'm an Animal Crossing person. I love my like harvesting my little items and then taking them back and doing something with them. So that's really, really been probably like when that happened in the game the first time, I was just grinning. I was like, this is amazing. This is the best.
That's the reason I haven't unlocked as many weapons as I could have, because I come back and I'm like, no, I would rather have the shovel than the like next weapon, or
Yeah.
I'd rather have the fishing rod, because I know that that is just going to get me more resources faster to get those other weapons. Instead of having to grind for 10 runs, it's only going to take me 5 to get to that next axe or get to that next weapon that needs to be unlocked, or unlock that next incantation. It's so good at just doling out so many different currencies, and it is overwhelming at first. It definitely is like, wait, what does this one do? Should I be keeping this resource? Should I spend it? Like, there's a shop that just opened in the crossroads for me where I don't even know what they're called, but there's the purple bones that you can get
Yeah,
in
I just got
rooms.
the 2.
Bare bones, I think.
Yeah, and I'm like, should I be keeping these? But I've kind of realized, no, like I need to go to this broker every time and just spend all of them on the other resources they have, because the resources they have are more valuable to me than having these like bones. It is and it feels like I'm only scratching the surface. Like, it feels like there are still like so many layers for me to unlock as I go further in my Hades journey.
Yeah, definitely. Like the gameplay loop is just like when coming back has just been so refined in this game. It reminds me like of those like the city building like app games like a Farmville or a Cityville, where like some of them you have to like wait, a certain amount of encounters before, like when you're farming, for example, you plant something and then you have to do X amount of things before they can grow. And it's just cool to be able to like, yeah, upgrade all your stuff and then do this, and then like you said, Klein, like a failed run isn't like is not necessarily a failure, because you will still have progressed in some meaningful kind of way.
Yeah, like everything in the game is designed to make you want to play more. Like there's never like a hesitation into going into a run and like committing your time because you're like, no, I will get things that will help me like make it a little bit further next time. And you can even just be like, I'm going in purely to get resources. I don't care how far I make it. I'm just going to have
Yeah,
fun with this one. And that's really cool. There was a bit of that in Hades 1 as well, but it just feels like enhanced here. But just to touch on the story point, I also love like the like I think the stringing out of the story, I suppose, and that there's not a huge amount that's being told to you, but you are kind of uncovering the pieces of like what's going on, what are we doing here, because they do just drop you in and go like off you go. Who am
yeah,
I?
that's
Like,
bonus.
yeah,
Yeah,
like what's going on upstairs, like what's going on downstairs, like you just kind of slowly figure it out. And occasionally there was, I don't know how much of a spoiler this would be, I'm sure you guys have both done it, but there are like sort of playable like flashbacks that have
yeah,
popped up, like story elements like that. I'm like, that's very new. I mean, there was some of that in Hades 1, but this feels like way more narrative driven, and like they've spent time to like actually craft these little narratives and have the like voice actors like read them and things like that. So and every interaction that you have with someone in the crossroads is different every time. They must have like hundreds and hundreds of scripted replies, so that means like I do want to go talk to them every time instead of just hearing like the same old like, oh, you didn't make it this time, that's a shame, lad, who was in Hades, like the first guy, what was his name?
oh, was it
Achilles.
something Achilles? Yeah, was
So
Achilles? Yeah,
Achilles, and then we have Odysseus in this one. So they are like kind of counterparts, but they're
yeah.
very different, which is cool.
And I like how contextual they get every time I do come back to the crossroads. It's like, oh, like you met so and so. Oh, like
Yeah.
here's they've actually I noticed this in this game and I didn't in the first one. They'll actually give you hints where like oh this happened. Well, try this next time, and you're oh that actually I'm going to take that into that boss fight. There was an attack in the second boss, and I'm like, how do I dodge this? Like, and then he says, oh, take out this person first, and like there's a pattern to this, and like, oh wait, like yeah, you're right. And then I got in there, and now I can just fly by that boss fight.
Yeah, it's really cool how they're able to do that, and even this like the little mini stories that you have of like aside from the main kind of plot that's going on, like the more you talk to Dora, who's this like ghost that kind of hangs out in your
Love
home.
Dora.
Yeah, she's great. Like you find out like how they kind of met, what her whole deal is with her, like trying to be a good ghost and trying to haunt people and stuff like that. It's just really endearing to see these little storylines play out, as well as the main stuff that goes on. Like you'll encounter Artemis, and then they'll teaser like what's going on with kind of other aspects of the game. I think it's just so well done how they kind of string you along and keep you kind of engaged with wanting to play more for yet another reason like to keep going.
It wouldn't be a Hades conversation if we didn't talk about how just like gosh dang beautiful every single character in this game is. The gods here are they were they were lookers in Hades 1. But the gods here, I feel like something has been done that everyone is just gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, the redesigns like especially some of like the returning gods like are really cool. Like I think like Poseidon is one of my favorites. Like he's got kind of like a glow up where he has like a seahorse little crown sort of thing. Um and even like the new characters as well. Like they just nailed that character design. I think Selene, is she like the moon titaness that you
Oh
kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
meet? She like one of her design is amazing because she's got like a horse in her portrait as well. Like just like top tier character design throughout the whole thing. Like not to mention like the voice acting too is just stellar once again. They've done they just have done such an amazing job with like all of
Yeah,
these
like I
characters.
never skip a conversation, whereas usually I'd be like, next, 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 next. I'm like, no, I want to hear how you say every single word. It
Yeah,
really it does draw you in. I also always get excited when it's like, oh, I haven't seen the god that this boon belongs to. Like, what are they gonna look
yeah.
like? It's like a big reveal. It's so exciting.
I've just been holding the Switch anytime a god comes up. I hold the Switch over to Gabby and I'm like, look at this character design. Look how sexy they are. Sometimes it is funny, Lord. The voice acting in this game is very good and there's lots of it, but there are some times where I'm like, I open up a god and then 25 seconds go by and I was like, oh wait, what did you say? Sorry. I was just like I was just like
Yeah.
getting lost in your eyes. Like Hephaestus for me, like I just want to cuddle with him. Like I have a big crush on
Okay.
Hephaestus. He is a big um forging cutie. Aphrodite just
Well,
I breath away.
goddess of love,
Um
you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
everyone in this game is absolutely gorgeous. Does everybody else have like any crushes?
I mean, I mentioned Selene. I think Selene is great. I mean, even Melanoe. I think Melanoe's got such a great design, honestly, and I love her character. So, it's great when she's talking to.
Yeah. Mel's my wife, and Nemesis is my other wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Nemesis, when she popped up for the
Nemesis.
first time in the Crossroads, I was like, oh my god, like look at your shoulders, man. Like this should be illegal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting seeing their different relationships with Mel as well, though, because also knowing what they were like with Zagreus. Like there is a bit of progression there, which is quite interesting. Because I think the setup is that like Mel's been hidden from a lot of the Olympians, and they're just kind of learning about her now. So just seeing her relationships and also seeing like who shows up more. Like there's certainly like some gods from the first game who I'm like, are you ever coming back? Like will I just
Yeah.
have to wait until later to meet you, which I think is what's going to happen. But the ones who keep showing up, like, I can't remember any of their names, but the freeze goddess Demeter,
Yeah, Demeter. Yeah.
so that's like her grandma, and like you get that kind of interesting like familial connection from them. And Artemis is a sibling, or I don't know how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works
I
because
mean, they're
they
all
call
related,
themselves the
but
Silver Sisters, but I don't know if that's like just a little phrase or if that's like an actual group that they have, or but yeah, I'm not sure the lineage or the parent the familial
yeah,
ties are supposed to be.
yeah.
is there anything negative? Like I've this isn't a review, but I haven't found anything. Like I've literally there is nothing yet for me that has like I've tripped over or gotten hung up on.
I've had one minor thing, which I'm not sure if this is something that will come later in the game, but in the first game, you kind of had like a bit of a compendium that explained each of the gods, like if you'd spoken to them before, and like kind of like was linked to quests you were doing for them and stuff like that. That hasn't really shown up here yet. And so there's times when, particularly with keepsakes, which I love keepsakes, love that they've come back, but and gifting to gods, I can't keep track of who I've gifted to. Um, and because there are so many new elements in the game, I think there is a little bit of a lack of instruction that could come from something like a compendium, which is I hope does come up. For example, it's like I know that I can farm, but where do I find the things to farm and that kind of stuff? Like I just want to know where to find certain things, and usually there will be a little pop up that explains what links to what when you're like actively looking for things like that, but or in the shop or something like that. But I think just having it all in one central place for me to refer to when I need to would be useful.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
as a roguelike, like you don't want to have too much tutorialization because part of the game is like unfolding it. But as you say, having it in some centralized location when you do uncover it would be nice because I am going, what is this currency for again? Like, where can I,
Mm.
what should, there's so many options to spend the things that I have. Where should I be doing that? Where's the best, like, what is the best plan of action heading into this next run when I am wandering around the crossroads and deciding where to put my resources?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think you, I mean, at least the point that I'm at the game, you do unlock like a character, like a thing, a book that has like all the characters
Yeah,
in it.
which I've
But
been
I
diving
don't.
into way like I never do this in games, but every time I get an update in that, I'm looking, I'm reading, I want to know
Yeah,
everything about these characters, enemies, the NPCs I meet, how they interact with one another, and I have a feeling that those entries get more in depth kind of as you
Okay, so
encounter
that
them.
gets unlocked later. I guess I haven't
I
yeah.
reached
don't
that part yet.
I
I
don't
think. I
know.
think.
I think if you press up, try pressing up on the D-pad, it should open that menu
But I
up.
think you have to unlock it at a certain
Do
point.
you?
Like I
Because
think it's
you
given. It's
I
given
don't
to
know,
you by
because
a certain
once you
character.
start
Yeah,
Okay.
huh.
yeah. I remember
Because
specifically
there
that
is
as a.
one that shows me like what my inventory is, and I know I can see
Yeah,
what my boons are and things like that, but I haven't
Well,
been able to like
oh.
and
Yeah,
like
no,
yeah,
there's like a here's all the gods that you've met. I don't think it
okay,
tells you
well
if
that's
you've
my
like
one
gifted
complaint.
and things
yeah,
to them. I don't know if it shows you
yeah,
that, but it definitely is like this is Zeus. Here's who he is, and it's got like a
yeah,
little blurb and with like a stamp at the bottom. It looks like, oh, this will unfold further as I commune with Zeus or learn more about other characters.
yeah.
Okay.
But
I
I
guess I
think
haven't gotten
if
that
you do
far.
more runs, you'll come across it for sure.
Cool.
I
Because
think
yeah,
it'll
yeah,
probably
I'm trying to keep
be
track of who I've
relatively.
gifted to because I want to get all the
Mm.
keepsakes, and so I keep
Yeah,
losing track.
that's the thing.
I find it so hard with the gifting because I'm like, I like you. I want to give you a present. I don't care if I've given it to you before. Like, I don't really know. I didn't do a lot of gifting in Hades 1, so I don't really know, like, is there like a relation? Like, can I max out okay. So I can, like, if I keep gifting to people, I will
Well, you could
reach
in
an
the first
endpoint.
game, but it's like usually only the first gift gives you a keepsake, and then afterwards it was like it wasn't as special when you gifted them. I think sometimes some would they give you something, Tom? Do you remember if you kept gifting? Was it just like a boon or
Yeah, I'm not too sure to be honest. I think it would upgrade certain things, but I think it was more so just flavor text sort
In
of
this, you're
stuff.
getting more lore,
Yeah,
which I'm
so
into. But I'm like,
I don't know. Maybe
Hephaestus,
they've changed it.
you showed up. Here you go. Give me a boon. Let's go.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, I guess we'll have to find out when we max out these characters. But
true?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be playing this game for a very long time. I think we've kind of covered it, but like other than the like differences in her moveset and the expanded world, like I guess more on a general sense, how do we think this compares to the first game? I think Lauren and I both kind of said this is better in our opinions than the first game, at least so far. Are you in agreement, Tom?
I think so. At least like what I've played of it, I just feel more inclined to like do runs in this compared to Hades. I think I got a little bit demoralized at certain points when I was playing Hades, and I would fail a run because there is still progression, but I think there is just more min maxing you can do in this one, and I think they've like improved that gameplay loop so much with this one. So I'm at the moment, I think I am inclined to say that I do prefer this so far. I mean, it could change like 20, 30 hours down the track, but so far I'm loving this game, and I think I like it more than the first one.
It does feel a lot like The Empire Strikes Back, where it's like I still really love the first one for what it was, but it's like this is just like everything but better and more. And yeah, they've really, really landed on it.
Might be too early to say, but who won the all-time indie classic battle of September 2025?
Well, only Tom can answer.
Well, I mean, I've put 40 hours into Silksong and like 4 or 5 into Hades 2. So
So we'll come back, is what
we'll come
I'm
back
hearing.
to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
We could
it's tough to say.
discuss at the end of the year. But Hades 2 isn't the only thing we've been playing. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. I think Hades 2 is dominating a lot of our gaming time, but we have been touching a few other things. Lauren, we have a big game coming out next week, and you've been doing prep. When I was at your house last weekend, you were playing, and I was seeing you play, and I was like, man, I forgot this game. Ghost of Tsushima. Still happening, hey?
Ghost of Tsushima is still going. Can I just say, I'm so annoyed that these two games are coming out a week apart. Like, I'm actually very angry. Please separate them because I want to give my time to both.
Yeah, when you have the great gaming summit every month and you all meet and discuss what your release dates are, specifically and how they relate to Lauren Rouse's tastes, why didn't this come up?
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah, not to make it all about me, but this is my podcast that I share. So, yeah, I have been playing Ghost, which, like I said, I'd been trying to like rush through it to, see the end, and I have like finished the story now. I just mainlined the story and finished
wow.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, great game.
You, from where you were last week, you flew.
Like I said, I just hit the main story missions. I didn't stop for my foxes. I didn't go to any like springs. I just did the main story, and it was great. Like the game is amazing. I wish that I had figured this out 5 years ago, but this was not my preferred way to play at all. So when it comes to Yote, like I know that I am not rushing. I am just taking my time because the urge to like explore the world of Tsushima and just get lost in it and find all your little side quests and complete the tales is so strong. And I think that's actually the appeal of the game. The story is great, but getting to those points after you've had like enough time, like enjoying the world around it, I think is the real charm of the game. And so I think I'm actually really excited to play Yote now because I'll get to do that. And from all intents and purposes, from what we've seen from reviews and stuff, it is more of the same, and that there will be all the stuff that you love from the first game there in the second game. So I'm kind of glad that I did mainline the story just because I don't feel burnt out on that world right now, so that when we go to Yote next week, I'll feel like ready to explore and like take it all in. So yeah, I think that was a big learning moment. It was like, I don't like rushing through things. Like I hate the pressure, but it worked.
We will be playing Ghosts of Yote for our October New Game Plus Video Game Book Club game of the month. So if you pick it up next week, play along with us, join in the fun, and then at the end of October, so you have all month to take it all in, explore the open world, maybe get the platinum trophy. We can jump in at the end of the month and do a full spoiler review of that game. Tom, I'm assuming when it comes to your gaming habits right now, it's as you said, it's Hades and it's Silksong. It's Hades and it's Silksong. The bounty is good right now. There's plenty to eat.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I've basically just been kind of trying to get as far into Silksong as I can before Hades came out and before Yoto. Hopefully I can finish it soon. I'm basically, like I said, I'm 40 hours in because I got to a point in the game where I was stuck. So I was doing a lot of side quests but not knowing that I was doing a lot of side content because I thought it was just the main way to go, and then I realized it wasn't, and I was like, oh, how do I get to the main thing? And I would do something else, and I was like, oh, that's not the way either. So eventually I figured out how to go, progress, but I think I'm just at the end, or just about to be at the end of Act 2. But this game's still amazing. It's still really good. The one thing I'll shout out is that there is a boss in this location called the Slab. I won't spoil what the boss is, but I think it's my favorite boss in the game so far. It is it's like the most fun I've had in this game so far. It's like this really quick paced thing where you can be just really aggressive as Hornet, and like really like allows you to show like use your abilities that you accrue throughout the game. It's not even like a mandatory boss. There's like it's like a secret thing that if you want to seek it out, you can. Um, Definitely not the most like challenging boss I've fought thus far, but I think it was just like I had so much fun with it. And if you're like looking for just like a really fun time in Silksong and haven't found that character in the slab yet, I'd say check it out. But yeah, maybe by this time next week, I don't want to make any promises, but maybe I'll have finished Silksong by then. Hopefully for my own sanity, because if I haven't by the time Yote comes out, then I am truly screwed. But yeah, Silksong, good game turns out.
I saw a video of a boss from Silksong this week, and there was somebody like explaining the lore, and I was like, this is insane. Like this is beautiful what is happening right now. And like it like in
Yeah,
this fight that was going on, and it was like two characters dashing around, and they were
yeah,
describing to me like what these two characters were actually doing in like relation to what you were doing, and it was like, oh my god, like Team Cherry, like you're on another level. On the Hollow Knight front, this is the last time I'll mention the first Hollow Knight here on the podcast. It's done. Hollow Knight 1
hey, nice
Yay.
has been
one.
finished. Hollow Knight 1 has been 100%ed. I have every
What?
mask shard. I have every what do you call it? The oh my goodness. The badges, pins.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I have seen, I have beaten every boss. I've beaten the final boss. I have done all the Coliseum stuff. This game, I was telling Lauren last week when I was there, I got to a point where I had hit where I had done everything in like the main story before the final boss. And I was just like, I don't really want this experience to end quite yet. And so I looked at every gap in the map I could. And once I did that and I had the whole map, I was like, I'm close enough. Let's just like I did open up a guide to find there's a lot of like hidden breakable walls to find mask shards and things like that. Did all that. Went the boss did the final boss did take me like I think probably about 90 minutes of attempts. Because there's like the first final boss, and then there's like a secondary bigger boss. That first one was, I don't know, maybe about an hour on its own, and then 90 minutes for the final one. I thought they'd be a lot harder, but I think that obviously having done everything, I had the most health you could have. I was doing the most damage I could do. I think that Hollow Knight 1 is an all-timer. I don't think it's my favorite Metroidvania. I still think Prince of Persia is that, but it is I have to put it on the Mount Rushmore, and I have a feeling if and when I play Silksong, it could like bump it. But it is just it's an obtuse as hell game. Like it is so, especially to start. If you can get over that hump at the beginning, it really opens itself up into something really special. So Hollow Knight 1 is done, is put away, and now it's just Hades 2 time. The game I want to talk about is a game that I've been playing for actually the last couple of months, but haven't been able to say anything. Skate is finally out. Skate 4 is here, if we want to call it that. Lower Skate is what people are calling it because it's all lowercase letters. It's here. It launched on the 16th, so it's been out for a couple of weeks now. Reviews are very middling. My review is also very middling. This isn't necessarily the return to form I thought Skate would be and I thought Skate would deserve. But the act of skating in the game is still really, really good. Like playing the game, if you don't know, they've taken the Skate formula and put it 100% online in this shared world, free to play. There isn't a battle pass yet, but it's coming with a store. Tom, when he was visiting, was watching me play and was laughing that I was like unlocking socks out of loot boxes. And that is the
Yeah.
worst part about the game. The online stuff is awful. You like really like can't really play with your friends other than like teaming up to do kind of objectives, but you can't if Tom, you and I wanted to play like say a game of what's called skate or horse where like I do a trick and then you try and do the same trick, or I do try and get as much score, you try. That doesn't exist in this game. The only way you can team up is like, let's look at this spot with these challenges and as a team accomplish these challenges, which I think is
Yeah.
kind of a bummer. The whole loot box thing is so dumb. I'm not excited about getting a plain white shirt out of a loot box, spending valuable currency that I earned yet. the act of skating in the game feels like Skate 1 through 3, and that's kind of all I wanted. So I think the shell of this game is kind of awful, but the actual like the nut inside of it is still quite good. So I'm going to keep playing it. This will be a game that I jump into once or twice a week for months because I like the world they have is a lot of fun to skate around in. They've added this awesome like Uncharted-esque parkour where you can climb up buildings. I've seen videos of people rolling around the city because we discovered that rolling is actually faster than skating around the world. But then when I'm like actually when I'm earning the currency and going into the shop, I'm never going to spend money on this game. I might maybe try the first battle pass and see kind of what I can get from it. But I don't really care what my person looks like because I am slowly unlocking. Like the other day I unlocked cargo pants and I'm like, oh yay. Like they aren't even branded. There aren't even like iconic skate brands in this. I think Vans is there and there's like a Thrasher t-shirt you can spend $5 on, but everything else is just like, hey, you earned generic cargo pant or generic white slip-on shoe.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that part of it, but Skate's back, it's here, so I have to give it its due.
Yeah, I actually played this yesterday at my friend's house, but I played on PS4 because he only has a PS4. So it ran, I mean, it ran like better than I thought it was gonna run. Definitely like as someone who's played like I played Skate 3 back in the day, but like it took a bit of getting used to because you use like one of the control sticks to like jump and do certain tricks. But it was like fun enough. Like I think like um to just kind of hop in and out of. I think it's fun enough. But yeah, it's a shame that like the monetization isn't like the
It doesn't
best.
feel like I can't experience the game though. Like I would much prefer
Yeah,
this monetization than to like, hey, you used up all of your skate time today, spend $3 to like play more.
yeah,
So you
true.
know that if this is what we have to deal with to get skate back, it seems to be doing pretty well. People are playing this game and getting into it. It captures that like real life skateboarding thing of it isn't Tony Hawk where I'm going to go on this 2-minute run and get a million points and do all of that. It's way more like, hey, that's a really cool grind. I'm going to set up at this grind for the next hour and just like hit it over and over and over and over again. And that is like, that's really fun. That's something I can do in 2-hour spurts or 15-minute spurts, kind of like what we were just talking about with Hades too. But yeah, Skate, it's out here. It's free to play. You can give it a try. Let's hop over to comment corner. Tom, do we have some comments? I have some comments that I would like to add as well if you didn't get to them, but go ahead.
Oh,
You
sweet.
have one.
Yeah. I've got at least one here from Brian Cortero, our boy, on the last episode when we debuted our new theme music. And he just wanted to chime in and say here, love the new theme music. Excited to have that stuck in my head for many episodes to come. And yeah, it's like every time I hear it, I get pumped. Like honestly, it is really, really so good. But Klein, you said you had some comments you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, last week I always ask comment corner question of the week. Last week I asked what is the most iconic video game sound in all of video games. We put that up over on TikTok. People came out. They shouted. They came out with their favorite video game sound effects. Pat over on TikTok said Metal Gear Solid's alert sound. Fantastic, great stuff. I don't really know how to say this name. It's like a bunch of forward slashes and then a bunch of backward slashes. They said the creeper hiss, Sans
Oh,
dialogue from Undertale, and the Legend of Zelda chest opening jingle. Charmy Frog said Sonic Rings. A Lone Joker just said Yahoo! The Mario Yahoo.
It's a
Very
good
good.
one.
Yep.
it was
And
great.
then Brandon Moore, shout out Brandon Moore, homie, friend of the podcast, said, I'm with Tom with the Pokemon, what do you call it?
Yes,
Pokemon
the
Center
Pokemon Center
jingle.
theme.
But
Yeah.
he said he'd have to go with the Tomb Raider secret chime, which I don't think I know.
Ooh, what is that? I'm gonna have to.
I'm going to have to look it up. But thank you guys
We
so
probably
much
know
for
when we heard it.
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so much for chiming in on that because we've been doing so much awesome work over on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and people have been sounding off in the podcast and chiming in with their opinions. This week's question I'm going to ask Might be a little specific. I don't know. We'll see how much reach Hades 2 is getting. How you're finding Hades 2 so far? If not that, if you have been playing Hades 2, how excited are you for Wolverine? You can let us know over on socials. You can also chime in on our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club Game of the Month. We are playing Ghost of Yote for the month of October. We are bringing it back for that new release. And as always, follow the show at Controller Club Pod on Instagram and Blue Sky, at Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.club on TikTok. Also, if you are listening to the show, we have a video version that goes up each and every week over on YouTube. Head on over there, hit subscribe, ring the bell, leave us a comment. We put up the newest episodes as well as highlights from past episodes. And as I've mentioned a few times here, YouTube Shorts. That's also where we do all of our live reaction content. So State of Plays, Nintendo Directs, Game Awards, Key 3, Summer Game Fest, whatever you want to call it. We do live reacts. We go live for those and just hang out with the chat while games like Chrono Script and The Endless End are announced, Lauren's new favorite game. And rate and review us wherever you're getting your podcast. 5 stars, 5 stars. Tom, where can people keep up with you, and what do you have going on?
You can keep up with me at Tom Drew Art, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, basically everywhere on the internet. Like last week, I'll shout it out again. I was on the Direct podcast with David Thompson, talking about Gen V Season 2. We talked about Episode 4 this week. It was a fun chat. So if you watch this show, I want to hear other people talk about the show. Go check that out. And yeah, just shouting out all the stuff we've got going on. Like, for some reason, when we did that State of Play live stream, like, not many people tuned in for that, but like a lot of people are watching the VOD, which is great. But I'm also like, why? I was like, thank you for doing that. But if you're interested in any of that stuff, yeah, check out all the stuff we've got going on the channel. It means a lot.
They want to know what #1 game influencer Tom Drew thinks about the Wolverine announcement. Tom, that's why. That's why. Okay. Lauren, sure. Where can people keep up with you, and do you have anything exciting happening?
You can follow me at lrouse19 on the socials, usually Twitter, Blue Sky. That's about it. And usually all I do is repost things from Controller Club. So, that's what's going on with me.
That's okay. We've got plenty of great content to repost thanks to Tom Drew lately. He's been killing it in the shorts game. You can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at The Kleinfelt, TheKleinFelt, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter. That's going to wrap up another episode of Controller Club. As always, thank you so much for listening and watching. Now, let's get gaming.